Others have almost no gold. Poor Canada
I know.
just sold down like all their gold assets at just stupid prices, and no one's holding these politicians accountable. And then you could say Justin Trudeau's gone, but who replaced him is the same people. I'd say the one benefit is that Canada has assets in the ground, which is also why Trump is gently poking and teasing the notion of becoming another state. But then you've got companies like Barrick in Mali, their military stealing gold to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Gold is so critical that I'll make a prediction. I believe that they probably should take a very, very hard look. Barrick should probably move their headquarters from Canada to the U.S. They need military protection. So we are in a metals war right now. There's a lot of theater going on. That there is no doubt that it's not just gold. Think of gold as the monetary asset, but all that byproduct that comes out of gold mines is all. If you look at that periodic table and you get those lists of things we can't really pronounce very well, you hear about some of these critical minerals as being used in AI, technology, batteries. This stuff is so critical for military, for AI. And if you can't build, if you can't build the power plants, if you can't build the data centers, you're gonna lose control of the world. So it's basically like a gigantic race to produce energy and to produce computing power, and you need minerals. And so this is why the U.S. is really kind of, in my opinion, locking down the Western Hemisphere. So they're locking it down militarily, relationally. We saw it with Panama, with the canal quickly.
Yeah.
You saw Argentina has really partnered with the U.S. over the last number of months. Brazil's leaning more China. So I'll put out a prediction that could be a potential kinetic conflict in the future. So because those assets and those minerals should be used in trade, geographical location. So we're seeing the world is bifurcating so fast. And so this is, Trump and one of the Chinese delegates yesterday, they're smiling. And Trump says, oh, we have some few things up our sleeves that could destroy China, but we won't do that. Well, the reality is if you're even teasing about it, both sides are thinking about how could I destroy your economy, your military, with the stroke of a pen or cutting off supplies and resources. This is very concerning at a high level, high macro level. And the United States has not probably taken the minerals as serious as it should over the last 20 years. And suddenly, I would say people are paying attention to it now. They're moving quickly. You saw, the U.S. government, whether we can agree with it or not, they're making strategic investments in companies in the mineral sector as well. So I know that the big news lately was the Intel conversion of the grant that Biden did. So it wasn't new money; it was a conversion. But graphite companies, they're investing in rare earth mineral companies, and so the mining sector really has been underfunded to develop these minerals. And it poses a wonderful opportunity for investors who we're really not sure where the world is going, but the wind is at your back. It's going to blow these commodities, in my opinion, is a commodity super cycle.
Let's face it, one of the biggest frustrations investors have is taxes. You make the right call on that stock or explosive crypto trade, and then boom, half the gains are taxed. You took the risk and won, but the government takes their share of your gains. That's why I'm excited to introduce our sponsor of the pod today, iTrustCapital, the #1 crypto IRA platform in America. They've built a self-directed IRA platform where you can actually buy and sell crypto, gold, and silver inside a tax-advantaged IRA. Of course, you probably know trades inside an IRA are not taxable events under IRS rules. And I think the best part about iTrustCapital is they use the same institutional grade custody for crypto that BlackRock relies on. That is peace of mind. And they do it with no monthly fees, just a simple 1% transaction fee. I've spoken with the team and I like these guys. Real US-based customer service, security, and real tax advantages. And while I personally hold exposure to Bitcoin, gold, and silver through ETFs and mining stocks in my own retirement account here in Canada, iTrustCapital gives U.S. investors the ability to hold the actual assets directly in an IRA. You can fund an account with a cash contribution, transfer an existing IRA, or even roll over an old 401k or employer plan to take more control of your future. So if you're looking to protect and grow your retirement with crypto, gold, or silver, check out our custom link in the description below and be sure to use promo code Pinnacle 8 to claim your $100 funding bonus when signing up and funding a new IRA plan with at least $1,000. As always, all investments carry risk, and this isn't investment advice. Now, let's get back to the pod.
We can't control world peace. We can't control what the politicians are going to spend, but we can set up our own finances to at least take advantage and at least do the best we can in this environment.
Well said. You know, you said something very interesting too. I'm a shareholder of Barrick. I've been for many years. It was a laggard until basically this year, and it's performed exceptionally well. But you bring up some good points. So with resource nationalism is on the rise. There's no question about it. Whether it's gold or copper assets, you look at First Quantum in Panama. Barrick obviously has its issues in Mali. There's been issues in South America with other miners. But you bring up an interesting point about Barrick might be well served to headquarter themselves in the U.S. because resource nationalism from some of these emerging economies, African nations, South American nations at times, the way I think about it is they'd be more inclined to push around a Canadian company, a country that doesn't have the geopolitical clout and the military clout that the U.S. does, than they would be an American company. Because they know if they push around an American company, there's a very good chance that pisses off Trump and it becomes a whole issue. And so you bring up a very interesting point about that. That's a concern for Canada, in my view. Resource nationalism is a huge threat now in the mining space.
And it's not going to change. It's not just by physical seizing. It can be, we hear about nationalism, just taking of the entire resource. Mm-hmm. And I have a little bit of history. So I used to do both trade credit, insurance, and I also did political risk insurance for mining companies in my past life. So I have some experience working with the EDC of Canada, working with insurance companies, but it can also happen through taxation. Imagine the world is in a worse place, which is not too hard to imagine, but gold is higher. What do you think the tendency of some of these third world countries are going to be?
Of course. Change the royalty, tax more, et cetera, et cetera.
So this becomes if you don't have the leverage, and I'm going to say this to the Canadian companies, is you guys got to get over, I call it the European-centric mindset of the World Economic Forum. Like, this is a new day, and we need to figure out how to protect your assets, your stream. I mean, I'm a big fan of, a win-win for the locals, a win-win for, but right now, China's not necessarily doing the best job in Africa. While they build airports and schools, they don't treat the people there that great. So I think this is the opportunity for what I would call good stewards of resources, and partner with these nations as opposed to exploit. But you're also going to need to have that backing, that seriousness that a country's going to say, you know what, we're not going to mess with this company. We're not going to push around. So, because you're going to have some back channel to say you can't just change the rules of the laws or frankly just seize assets either.